And good morning, bowling world. We are here at Bolero Mount Prospect. And this is our opening squad of the 2024 PBA LBC National Championships. Pretty big squad this morning. We have 8 different streams that you can follow on the PBA YouTube landing page for live videos. You'll see 2 pairs to a group. Like right now we're watching lanes 3 through 6. There'll be another grouping for 7 through 10, 11 through 14, and so on all the way through this edition of the LBC National Championships. Have that running through the middle of July. There's still openings remaining on most weekends. Only one weekend, June 28th and 29th, is getting kind of full. There's a weekend you might be looking at getting involved in. I would not wait to sign up. And if you want any and all information on this PBA LBC National Championship, there's your website address, pba.com/LBC tournament. And you can get all the questions you need. You can see what squads are available to you. You can see the lane pattern these players are bowling on. It's 43 feet in length. It's about a 4.5 to 1 ratio or so. And they're using the new Kegel Atlas machines to apply that oil pattern. If you have questions, throw them in the chat. I'll do my best to answer them. Once again, I'm $2 Phil Bryla. A lot of you remember me back in the days of Extra Frame. Back in the days of Flow Bowling. And happy to be with you for this entire run. Once again, the second year of these LBC National Championships. We'll take you through pair to pair. Best thing to do is, when you see one of the pairs you want to watch, you know where your favorite player is at. When we have our main feed, and we'll have that when we have PBA professionals available to us during weekends of the tournament. Some squads you'll just have the lane feeds themselves. Other squads you'll have me in the booth with a PBA professional that you can ask questions to in the chat and such. But you see those various pair feeds you can click to. Right click on those, open up in a new tab, and then keep us on here in the main feed. So if we do have a PBA Pro, you can still follow your favorite player as they go from pair to pair. They will move pairs after every game. And then we will have 6 games of competition per squad as these bowlers try to take down their chance, not just for a great amount of prize money, but also top finishers in various divisions. We'll have a chance to advance to Portland, Maine in September. Bayside Bowl will be the site for the PBA LBC National Clash. That exciting one-ball format used last year that brought $60,000 and the Duke Trophy home. With the Duke. We'll have 8 sets of feeds for you. We're going to pull off the lanes 3 through 6 here. Work our ways over to 7 through 10. And 9 and 10. We've got Ray Reese, Elliot Heidkamp, and Adam Jankowski taking to the lanes. Reese and Jankowski bowling in the Open Classic division. It's just simply a scratch division. $25,000 on top for that scratch division title for the Open Classic. 2 other scratch divisions, a senior and women's classic divisions. Both those with $5,000 guaranteed on top. We'll have men's and women's handicap divisions. Those will also pay $5,000 for a guaranteed first place. And new to the PBA LBC National Championships in 2024, boys handicap and girls handicap divisions, which will pay $2,500 in smart funds. Take a peek over on 11 and 12. Dennis Posnack, Brian Rack, Matthew Andrews, Michael Lutz, all on 11 and 12. Posnack, Andrews, Lutz bowling in the men's handicap division, Rack in the Open Classic division. Get you over to lanes 15 through 18. Action this squad on 17-18. Rick Gates, Joshua Cadiz, Ron Gates, Tyler Benden. Cadiz in the Open Classic division, your other 3 players in the men's handicap division. Got ourselves a little two-hander action there. Gates unfortunately misses a single pin. Over to 19 through 22. Got Anthony Jovanovic, PBA regional player. He's bowling in the senior classic division. He's got a great run here in game 1. Bowling with Connor Chen and Michael Long. Michael Anthony, a late scratch. Jovanovic bowling in the senior classic division. Once again, this pattern, 43 feet in length. And about a 4.5 to 1 ratio. Very playable. Right approach on the lanes will get you a lot of pins down in a hurry. With bunch and strikes, you see Jovanovic. He'll be stepping up in lane 22 momentarily. He's got a chance for 278 his opening game. Took down the PBA Midwest Regional Invitational Senior title down in the Peoria area last November for his first PBA 50 regional title, and Jovanovic off to a great start here. Yeah, our main feed here, we try to focus on bowlers on hot hands when we're on. Obviously, we're going to have PBA professionals in the booth when we have our main feed, and we have one of the greatest of all time coming in the booth. He'll be joining us probably sometime around Game 4 on this squad. And that's going to be Norm Duke. Duke. The man who's the trophy. Well, I guess they're not actually putting Norm on a pedestal. It's just a bronze copy of Norm. And Jovanovic flat 10, but still spare here, full ride in the 10th. And he'll get himself 257. Great start on the board. That was kind of the average needed last year when Lenny Borsch Jr. took down the Senior Classic division. He started with a great series, 8 1/4, rode it into a large total. And he was one of our players appearing on the PBA LBC National Clash. And we'll wait for Jovanovic to toss the fill ball here. We'll go take a look in at another couple of pairs. Once again, if you do have questions, and I know a lot of you hold on to your Norm Duke questions. Like I said, we'll get Norm in here probably about Game 4. He'll be in the building shortly. And I'm sure he's going to be talking to a lot of players as we get a deadwood clear. Nothing better than a deadwood clear on a live stream. Only thing better than that's a 300 game. And the neat part about 300s that are thrown in this LBC National Championships in 2023, everyone who threw a 300 game received their small version of the Duke. The regular Duke is about 40 pounds in weight. It's a good 16 inches tall from pedestal to the top of Norm's head. About that amount deep as well with the pedestal. And everyone that shot 300 got their little Duke. So a nice little, I'd say 7-inch tall version of the Duke Trophy. What a great way to commemorate a perfect game at the LBC National Championships. I mean, you know, some organizations give rings. Certificates might happen after the first one. And you get a Duke here. Pretty neat to have happen. I remember seeing some players receive their Dukes personally from PBA Tour Commissioner Tom Clark. We'll see Tom later on in the building for our opening ceremonies. That'll start about 1:30 p.m. Central Time, 2:30 Eastern for our opening ceremonies. And once again, if you're looking for a specific bowler on your squad, Go down in the description under the video that you're watching. You'll see all the links for the 8 different pair feeds in play. Each pair feed has 4 lanes on it, 2 pairs, and you'll be able to follow your favorite player as they move along. Here we go with following along. We finish up on 31 and 32 here on game 1. We're going to give you a little audio intermission. Let you enjoy the ambient sounds and beautiful sights inside of Bolero Mount Prospect. There is your registration address to get all your information on this LBC tournament, and it's not too late to get in. 6 more weekends remain in the event after we complete our opening weekend today. And they can answer all your questions. They even have information about nearby hotels, nearby attractions. I know a lot of people making their way to a couple of the casinos around here before or after competition. So our first game wrapping up of these 6 games. That means game 2 will be coming up next year from Bolero Mount Prospect. And your opening squad of the 2024 PBA LBC National Championships is underway. And we'll get you underway here with game 2 of our opening squad of this 2024 PBA LBC National Championships. I'm $2 Phil Brian Lowe, bringing you through the run of the event. 6 more weekends after our opening weekend here. As we work our way towards crowning champions in 8 divisions. And those champions and other select players will advance to our PBA LBC National Clash at Bayside Bowl in Portland, Maine in September. Here we've got bowlers moving on from 29-30, Jason Eby in the boys handicap division. Colin Howe in the Open Classic division. Anthony Wagner in the Senior Classic. Brian Kottner in the Open Classic. Those are your players on 3 and 4. On 5 and 6, we have Molly Malone in the women's handicap. Chris Snell. Chris Schnepp in the men's handicap. John Cock in the Open Classic. And Richard Burnett in the men's handicap division. Those players will be underway on 5 and 6 momentarily. Once again, 6 games of competition, and the players move. Pair by pair, each and every game. So they're getting the full experience as if they were bowling a PBA Regional or PBA National Tour event. And this year, those advancers to Bayside Bowl are going to be a little bit different than last year, as with the addition of the boys handicap and girls handicap divisions. We'll have those 2 division winners, the men's and women's handicap division winners, the Senior Classic division winner, and the top super senior in that division. That is a player who is 60 years or older. And then the top 2 finishers in the Open Classic, Women's Classic, and PBA exempt divisions. So this weekend, Jason Sterner taking to the lanes. He'll be on our 11 a.m. squad tomorrow. And we will have a main feed for you, and we'll follow Flash and several other players on that squad. So even though this is the LBC National Championships and PBA Tour players can bowl, if they are in the top 50 in points from last year, the 2023 season, they bowl in their own exempt division. PBA Tour exempt division for those players in the top 50. And we have several players bowling on the first couple of weekends, as we'll have Jason Sterner, Chris Prather, AJ Chapman all bowling in the next couple of weekends. Then it starts getting a little busier. June 23rd, we'll have Justin Knowles, Kevin McCune, and Zach Tackett on the 11 a.m. squad that day. June 29th, on the 9 a.m. squad is DJ Archer, Sean Lavery Spar, BJ Moore, Matt Ogle, Kyle Troop, and Zach Wilkins. Chris Barnes bowling June 29th at 2 p.m. And then Andrew Anderson, Graham Fa, Tom Hess, and Matt Sanders all bowling on Sunday, June 30th at 11 a.m. So lots of PBA exempt players bowling. And you can have them as your partners in this tournament for either the doubles event or the team event. And it's neat how those events work. As long as somebody pays for that either doubles entry or team entry, when the first player on the entry bowls, you could bowl with whoever you like in the tournament. So let's say you want to bowl with Bill O'Neill. Well, Bill's not bowling till the last squad on July 14th at 11 a.m. But you could have Bill O'Neill as your doubles partner. All you'd have to do is pay the $50 entry fee, $25 for yourself, $25 for Bill O'Neill. And then with that entry fee paid, you would take your first 3 games of competition. Bill would take his first 3 games of competition. And you would have your total for a doubles team. And you can do that with as many players as you like, and they don't have to be PBA players. Let's say you're bowling now and your best friend's bowling on July 7th. You pay the entry when you get here, and then you're all set, and then you add your score when you bowl and your best friend's score when he bowls July 7th, and there's your doubles total. So, and it works in a similar fashion for team. 4 players on a team. Entry is paid when the first person bowls, so it would be $100 for that entry, $25 per person. You could put 3 PBA pros together. If you wanted to bowl with DJ Archer, BJ Moore, and EJ Tackett, you could do that. And then you would use your games 4, 5, and 6 in competition as your team total games. So really neat, a lot of fun. You don't have to bowl at the same time. It just has to be paid early. And they have all the information, once again, on that LBC information page. There you see the web address, pba.com/LBC tournament. And there's a lot of ways that you can win money all throughout this event. There's brackets you can get in on every squad, if brackets are your thing. Handicap and scratch brackets offered in every squad, and you go, well, for the doubles and team, if I'm in one of the handicap divisions, whether it's men's handicap or women's handicap, unfortunately with USBC rules, youth players, boys and girls, aren't eligible to bowl doubles or team events due to Rule 400. But let's say you're a 175 average bowler, you're bowling in the men's handicap division, how can you and Bill O'Neill be partners? Well, it's easy. Your handicap is counted in your 3-game total, and then whatever Bill's scratch total would be, those are added together. So even though it's just one division of doubles competition, you do get to use your handicap if you're in either the men's handicap or women's handicap divisions to help keep that doubles and team competitions a little more on the equal side. Let's take a peek here. I know we saw a lot of Anthony Ivanovic in game 1, but we're going to take a peek in on him shortly because he's off to a hot start here in game 2. Let's go down to that pair, Ivanovic. You'll see him stepping up on lane 26 momentarily, working on the front 4. Ball goes down lane, comes up a little light, 2-8, the remnants. go back and take a peek in on Jovanovic, as he did convert his spare. Let's head down and take a peek at some players we didn't get much of a look at during game one. As down on 29 and 30 currently. Marcelino Gerania bowling in the men's handicap division. Garrett Beyer bowling in the boys handicap division. Randy Reich bowling in the men's handicap division. And Sean Hall bowling the open class division. Your pairings here on 29 and 30. Now, we mentioned all the players bowling in June that are PBA Tour exempt players. In July, on Saturday, July 6th at 9 a.m., A.J. Johnson, Frankie Lavoie, E.J. Tackett all bowling. The next day, Sunday, July 7th at 11 a.m., Sean Rash will take to the lanes in the PBA exempt division. July 13th, Mitch Hupe, Nick Pate on the 9 a.m. squad, Stu Williams on the 2 p.m. squad, and Bill O'Neill on the 11 a.m. squad on our final day of the tournament, Sunday, July 14th. Once again, scheduled appearances could change. And if you're around Bolero Mount Prospect, and even if you're not bowling the event on a particular weekend, hey, stop by and watch the pros bowl. And always easy to get an autograph or a picture with a PBA Tour player at an event like the LBC National Championships. See in the YouTube chat, Bailey, you're looking for information on the LBC tournament. Once again, I'll bring that address on the screen. There you see it, pba.com/LBC tournament. All the information you need about this event on that landing page. That is a handsome, handsome man. Actually, a couple of handsome men. Actually, three handsome men. You see down at the end of the lanes here on 27 and 28. Also over lane 33 and 34. Lenny Boers Jr., our senior classic champion last year. Good to see Lenny's on the bounce back from battling a rare form of prostate cancer. He bowled the PBA 50 Tour event in the Villages last month. Good to see Lenny hit the competition lanes again. And Jake Peters, who took down the exempt title last year when the PBA exempt players had their own squad on the Monday following the tournament proper. This year, tour players can bowl any weekend that they choose. They're just in their own division as compared to the rest of the competition. Oh, that was almost an interesting way to make the 6-7-10 there for Randy Reich. Hit the 6 into the 10. 10 almost slid all the way across. Janae Haggerty just stopping by the booth, the woman who puts all this magic together. Janae doesn't get enough credit for the great work she does behind the scenes, not just for this LBC National Championships, but many, many things put together for the PBA, and just want to give her hard efforts a nice shout out here early in the event. Also many other people helping put this together as well. Trista Kamez, Mike Sleds, Renee Walker, Jason Haynes. Michelle Terrell. Neil Stremmel, Zach Singer, a tournament director this year. All coming together to put this event on for 7 weekends. And of course, Gina Dodaro, our general manager here at Brunswick Mountain Prospect, and the area manager for the Windy City District, Michelle Stoltz, putting on their best on the lanes and in the bar and at the snack bar here at Bolero Mountain Prospect. Keep all the players with desired food and drink during the run. And once again, you're going to get a little varied pace of play here. No real solid lane courtesy rule. Other than the usual 1 lane to the left, 1 lane to the right, some players, they might prefer 2 lanes. Some players, like Anthony Ivanovic, might be used to the PBA double jump rule, but that is not enforced during this event. Another PBA rule that would apply in national or regional tour competition doesn't apply here. Hey, you want a beverage? You want a beer mosa at 9 a.m. when you kick off your squad, you're more than welcome to have one. As the bar is open at 8 a.m. here at Palermo Prospect. Get your favorite beverage and your favorite snack at the snack bar to get you through your 6 games of competition. So everybody, thanks for tuning in. If you want to see one of your favorite players on the squad, if you know somebody bowling this morning, you're looking for them, you can follow them every game. You just have to figure out what pair they're moving to. Maybe they'll be texting you or such. You see all the links in the description on this YouTube main feed. Just go down to the description underneath the video. Just click on one of those links, and it'll pop you open to that pair of lanes. Otherwise, you can right-click on one of those links, select open a new tab. That'll keep us on here in the main feed. As I said, Game 4, we'll have Norm Duke in here talking with us for a couple of games, and then Norm will be sitting in with us for a bit on the 2 p.m. squad as well. Might even get a little bit of flash. Jason Sterner as well. So wrapping up our second game of competition here in our opening squad of the 2024 PBA LBC National Championships. Scores will update after every squad. You'll see a link on the top of the PBA.com homepage, and we'll get score updates at the conclusion of every squad during the run of this championships. So there's no real leader at the moment. I noticed a question in the chat asking what's the scores, what's leading right now. We won't have that wrapped up till after each squad is completed, and it'll update on our League Pals page that you can link to right off of PBA.com. So player movement and Game 3 of our customary 6-game block in the 2024 PBA LBC National Championships. Be back with that Game 3 momentarily. Well, we got some players well into game 3, and hey, here's a surprise. Anthony Jovanovic is striking. Front 5 for Jovanovic. He's at plus 70 after 2. He had a little bit of a struggle towards the end of the second game. And with Jovanovic being the senior classic division, he's looking to set the pace for everyone else to follow him during this 7-weekend run of the LBC National Championships. Good morning, everyone. I'm $2 Phil Brilo. Yes, I do have $2 bills with me in the booth as we speak. And I'll be speaking in game 4 with the man whose body is on the trophy, head to toe, in that famous kneel down position, fist pumped. took down that U.S. Open title, Norm Duke. So our main feed here, as I said, when we have PBA pros in for a weekend and they're scheduled to do some booth appearances with us, we'll have our main feed. So it won't be every squad of the tournament. It will be every squad this opening weekend. We may not have a booth feed at all weekend too, depending on the availability of a PBA pro or two. But you can always check it out on the PBA YouTube page. You can see when booth feeds are scheduled. Linda, good to see you. Watching the stream. Wish Ryan good luck today. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for getting a peek in. And you know, a lot of people like to watch that are coming into bowl this event in future weekends because you want to see how players similar to your style might be playing the lanes on this 43-foot LBC National Championships pattern. Heck, if you wanted to put out in your own bowling center right now, you could. You could. All the information's available on that pba.com/LBC tournament website, and if your bowling center agrees to it, you could practice before you get here. Now, obviously, you may not have the same lane surface in your bowling center that they have here inside of Bolero Mount Prospect, but it can give you a general idea of what equipment to bring here. I mean, that's a tough part sometimes to travel. If you're coming in off the coast, heading into the second city here in the Chicago area, you know, you might not be able to travel with more than 3 or 4 bowling balls. And if you go back to last year, Chris Prather had a great video during our LBC National Championships Oil Pattern Reveal show where he was playing with different bowling balls on different parts of the lane and basically just striking from 4 different areas. It was fun to watch Chris do that video, and we'll see a little bit of Chris Prather coming up in a couple of weeks here. Once again, that full schedule, if you're looking to see when one of your favorite players might be here just because you want to come in and get a picture with him or talk to an E.J. Tackett or someone of that nature. I mean, if you're an E.J. Tackett fan, you know, put July 6th, 9 a.m. on your calendar. Come down, watch him bowl, take pictures. It's going to be a good time. You know, if you're around Bolero and Mount Prospect today, here's your chance to come down and get your picture taken with one of the greatest of all time, Norm Duke. Chavity, he's already started to take some pictures with the fan. Just arrived in the building shortly after Game 3 started, looking down the concourse. Yeah, lots of people talking to Norm. It's that man knows how to draw a crowd without even trying. But then again, if you're a PBA Hall of Famer, one of the greatest of all time, not that hard to draw a crowd. right, let's take a peek in on a few players here. On 11 and 12. Unfortunately for Ari Machuca, a little miss of the head pin on that shot, but she's bowling in the girls' handicap division. Along with Ed Donow, bowling in the men's handicap. Ken Allen, bowling in the senior classic. Don Becky, also bowling in the senior classic on that foursome. So Jovanovic finished 235, so 705 for his first 3 games. So Jovanovic trying to set the pace in the senior classic division. And he's setting the pace pretty much overall for everyone in the building at this point. And when you see a score for a handicap division player, whether it's men's, women's, boys, or girls, that does have their handicap added in. So you see for Ari there, her 405 total does add in 2 games of handicap at, I believe, 10 pins a game she's receiving. No, not sure exactly what she's receiving here. Yeah, it's 1/6 of her overall handicap, so we'll see as that goes along. Is it? Well, hopefully some of you coming in the bowl future weekends of this event will be scouting out what the lanes are doing here. Who doesn't like some Liz Johnson and some Trey Heinrichsmeyer? Trey took down his first PBA regional title last weekend in nearby Lockport, Illinois. We saw him last year on the PBA LBC National Clash. Took down A.J. Johnson in the championship match of that stepladder. Not going to be officially credited with a PBA regional title. He's still a youth player, a non-member of the PBA, but still to be able to say you won a regional event, have that on your resume while you're entering your freshman year in college, goes to show how solid of a player you are at such a young age. And of course, I don't want to say fully on the other end of the age spectrum, but if she bowled a PBA event, she'd have that old letter S in front of her name, Liz Johnson. Still doing well on the PWBA tour. Even at 50 years of age, a threat to win any event. And I mean, the number of women's open titles, she's won 6 of them in her career. And that's with how many years there wasn't a women's open held. And of course, Johnson with a couple of PBA firsts in her career. She was the first woman to defeat a male player back in 2005 at the PBA Banquet Open when she took down Wes Malott. And in 2017, she took down the Chameleon Championship, taking down her good friend Anthony Pepe in the championship match. That was during the 2017 World Series of Bowling in Reno. One of only 2 women to take down a PWBA title, or pardon me, a PBA title. Sure, there was the PBA Women's Series in the late part of the aughts. That she had some success in. In the summer of 2005, Liz Johnson took down a East Regional PBA title, took down Ryan Schaefer in the semifinal and Mike Fagan in the championship match. So that is a definite battle to get through to a title, no matter what level you're at in the professional ranks. mean, Liz Johnson, over her career, 15 PWBA titles, 10 of those being majors as well. Two PWBA non-U.S. Open majors, 6 U.S. Opens, 2 PBA Women's Series titles, 1 PBA Ladies and Legends title back in 2007. That's an event I wish would come back. We were getting a little bit of that this year in Jonesboro with the PBA, PBA 50, PWBA trios. Looking forward to that event in early August. And, of course, her Chameleon Championship in 2017 being her lone PBA Tour title. But what a career Liz Johnson has had. And it wouldn't surprise me now that she's PBA 50 eligible that she might make an appearance on some PWBA off weeks at a PBA 50 National Tour event. Of course, this week the PWBA in the Nashville, Tennessee area with one of their Classic Series events. As they're going to be battling for another title today, and then 2 more days of match play in the Music City Classic before they'll get to a stepladder final on Monday for their 3rd and final title of their run in Nashville. So always like watching the women's tour as well as the guys, and just the different styles, the different ways they approach the pocket. It's always interesting to see, just like if you're watching this PBA LBC National Championship live stream. You see all kinds of different ways to get to the pocket, all kinds of different ways to try to strike. So we'll have Norm Duke in the booth starting in Game 4, so let your family and friends know that we'll have Norm with us in a few minutes. If you have questions for Norm, can't promise we'll get to all of them. But we'll get to as many as we can going through as we are approaching the finish of Game 3, reaching the halfway point on the squad. That means Game 4 after player movement coming up here from Bolero Mount Prospect. And your opening squad of the 2024 PBA LBC National Championships rolls on. This is one of the things where I can say I love my job so much, and that's because I got this guy right next to me here, Norm Duke, PBA Hall of Famer, everybody. And Norm, you made it here, and the fans, you walk in the door and the fans just adore you. It's so great to see. They see you walk in, they were turning around, they turn around from the lanes right by the main entrance, and they first want to come out and get a hi and a handshake. And the warm feeling being retired now for almost 2 years. Yeah. I mean, it's still gotta be great every time you walk in the door at a PBA event.
You know, the bowling fans all across the world, they just treat me so well that to come to events like this, the Peterson, things like that, and to see those amateurs that many of them have never met me, I've never met them, and they show me so much love that, yeah, it's a great time.
And
I like my job too, Phil.
Oh yeah, no doubt about it. And you know, one thing that's really cool, and you see right there over lanes 33 and 34, is the Duke, the trophy, the pose. Another year. I mean, when Tom Clark approached you with wanting to do the tournament winner of the whole thing, the LBC National Championship Clash, with that trophy, what was your reaction?
My first reaction was, everybody else gets a pattern, and I get a bronze statue. Wow, yeah. Not only is it such an honor, but it's hopefully it's forever. You know, wouldn't it be great if this tournament lasted over 100, 200 years, and you know, long after I'm gone, there's still a bronze statue. That would be something else. So yeah, for the PBA and Tom, I want to say thank you for the honor. It is a genuine honor.
So let's get to the lanes once again.
Yeah. Let's sit down.
As we're finishing up Game 3 here, getting into Game 4, it's an interesting pattern once again because they're making it where you don't have to shoot PBA Tour quality type shots with this pattern. It's 43 feet in length. Right. It's got a good amount of volume and oil in it, but it's about a 4.5 to 1 ratio. You guys would almost call that, back in the tour days, cliffed. Because of how much of a hold is built into the pattern. But for players that might not have the experience on PBA patterns, I think this is like a good transitional pattern. Like if they've never bowled on a sport pattern or a PBA Tour pattern, you know, it's something where it's challenging, but it's not impossible for somebody that hasn't seen it before, where something like the shark pattern could be really problematic for.
Right. What you will see, Phil, in this environment is you'll see really good games, but then they'll be followed by really poor games. And that is because it is a PBA type pattern that the play on the lanes prior to you getting there means so much. When you're bowling on house conditions, usually there's just not enough bowling and not enough shots thrown down a lane to tear it up or to manipulate it. Well, in this situation, even though it's 4.5 to 1, depending on who you're following, that's going to make a lot of difference. Now, all of the pairs are going to be playable from somewhere, but as they break down, it's going to be from different spots. So you're going to see some great games. You're also going to see some 130s, 140s out there. It is challenging enough that if you're not standing in the right spot and if you're not using the right bowling ball, then it's going to expose your weakness. Conversely, if you're in the right spot and you're making shots, it's going to give all kinds of rewards. So, you know, stay in it, be nimble. One of the things that I see about amateur bowlers that is different from pros is the migration amounts. Pros are going to move in a game maybe 2-3 boards, maybe more even. Where amateurs want to stay in that same zone and then maybe move a board when they move lanes. No, go ahead and move 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 10. Because we do open the lanes up, as we say on tour, by virtue of creating some traction to the right. The oil in the middle will stay longer because you don't have 500 rev rate getting inside really, really quick. Right. But look, there's some scores out there, that's for sure.
Yeah, I noticed Anthony Jovanovic, he's in the senior classic division. He started with 715 for his first 3. I'm trying to see if he was on one of these end pairs here. maybe he moved over. I think he may have moved already.
Yeah, they're in between.
So
I think
in between. So, but he had a quality start out there, and we know from the scores last year that it's going to take 1,500. It's going to take a 250 average to win one of the either the Open Classic, Women's Classic, or Senior Classic divisions. And you talk about, 3 great champions we had from that last year.
Yeah.
You got Lenny Borst Jr. leading the Senior Classic, Trey Heinrichsmeyer, 17 years old, who just won his first PBA regional title last week.
Congratulations.
In Lockport, I was covering that regional last week, and he took down his first. It's going to be unofficial win because he's not a member yet. He's just going to college. But watching the young talent, watching the great players like Liz Johnson out there on the TV show. They were playing last year's show earlier this morning here in the center, and you could hear your genuine excitement about seeing 12 different players take to the lanes in that clash format, and I bet you can't wait to get back to Bayside and be part of that again, can you?
I tell you what, it's a highlight of my year is to go out and watch these players bowl for so much money. Oftentimes, some of those players have never bowled for more than $100, maybe $1,000.
Yeah.
$60,000 to the winner. If you think that doesn't get your legs a little shaky, then you're in the wrong sport, because it will. Oftentimes, let's just talk about, let's say, a Guppy Troop.
Mm-hmm.
Kyle Troop is his son. His son's bowling for so much more money than Guppy has ever played for, right?
Right.
And so when Guppy is back there watching a $60,000 shot, don't think that he doesn't know what is entailed in that.
Yeah, and one thing, as we talk about professionals in this tournament, we talk about a Liz Johnson, or we talk about a Jake Peters, or Tom Doherty, who took down that shootout last year, is they can bowl any squad at this event this year. Last year, all the PBA Tour exempt players, those top 50 in points from the year before, had to bowl one squad after the main tournament was done. That's not the case this year. You've got great players. If you're coming down to bowl a squad in a few weeks, you might have an Andrew Anderson or an EJ Tackett or a Graham Fa. All kinds of players on these squads. You look at the list you brought down here for me, and Chris Prather, Sean Rash, Matt Standers, Jason Sterner we'll see tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. bright and early. So Zach and EJ Tackett, it's amazing. Kyle Troop, these pros want their chance to get to Bayside. It's not just the prize money for the pros isn't a ton in the PBA exempt division this year. It's $5,000 on top. But they want that trip to Bayside, and they want that chance because they look at the whole picture.
The big picture is what they look at.
60 grand on top again.
That's exactly right.
60,000 on top. Let's see what we have. We gotta have some players here. There we go. Entering game 4.
And as Phil mentioned, when you sign up and you come here to compete in the PBA LBC, you may very well be paired with EJ Tackett or Sean Rash, or somebody that you just saw on television. Maybe going for a 300 game or something. That is what is exciting. And I tell you what, so many of the amateurs here, they're not only aware of the ambiance that is created by these great players that walk in, but they're also aware that they can beat them.
Exactly.
And they can post their number, and they could go to Bayside and leave those pros right where they were. Yeah, even if you're in the men's or women's handicap divisions. You might be bowling on the pair with EJ. He's in his own division, but you might put up a score your handicap higher than EJ. And as Norm said, all of a sudden you're under the TV lights at Bayside, and here's your chance to get that big money. And by the way, EJ, could you sign my score sheet, please?
I know.
Right after you just killed him. Yeah.
AJ, can you please sign it? You just kicked my backside. Yes. EJ Tackett. Speaking of TV lights, you were just under him again a few months ago
in Phoenix.
How did that feel?
It felt awkward because I had not bowled in, they said 615 days, I think it was. And so I couldn't just show up cold, right? So I went in and I practiced for 4 days.
Okay.
I injured myself on 3 of them.
Oh, jeez.
I'm only bowling 3 games, but goodness, the things that hurt. First day was the elbow. Second day was the hip. So, bowling is a sport. It is not easy. If you don't do it all the time, then, you'll know. I knew. But to be there in Phoenix with all of those great champions, the legends, and as well as the current stars.
Yeah.
It's just, like I said before, it's an ambiance that is created when Mike Albee is sitting right next to him. And Pete Weber's arguing with Walter Ray. Things like that, I'll never forget it. And then we have Marshall Holman standing right there with some of the youngest superstars. They're up-and-coming superstars. And listen, these legends know what is coming.
Right.
They absolutely know. It's like we get to watch the Tiger Woods type effect when we see the two-handers coming out and the E.J. Tackett's of the world. And so our respect level is immense.
I still remember Parker Bowen. He was at a tournament when I used to do TV in Milwaukee. He was at a TV event that A.J. Johnson won as a college freshman.
Yeah.
And here's Parker handing him the trophy, and Parker's exact words were, "I'm glad I'm going to be retired before AJ gets out on tour."
But he wasn't.
He wasn't. He wasn't. He actually won a title after AJ came out on tour. He won the Cheetah Championship in Reno during the World Series of Bowling. But players like yourself and Parker, you see that little special something that other players might just go, he's a really good bowler. He might, it's like he could see right there, like, this kid can be on tour if he keeps applying himself well. And, I'm sure you saw that last year with Trey when he was bowling in Portland. And any young and up-and-comers that you've seen at like events in Florida or other events you maybe made some appearances at? Because you're retired from bowling, but you're not retired from supporting the sport. That we know. You'll do forever.
Well, that's correct. Correct. And then Kroll just won the playoffs.
Right.
Well, oftentimes the next superstar you didn't recognize as the next superstar, right? And that superstar you thought was going to be there is nowhere to be found.
Yeah.
So we don't always get it right. But we do recognize, and this is true in every sport, is as we progress in years, the youth are better than the older guys. I was better than Earl and Mark and Marshall, and they were better than Carter and Bluth. And these kids are better than we were, and it will progress in that manner. Now, when we watch them, our respect level is so high. I see this in Marshall's eyes and in his comments, in Albee. Mm-hmm. When we watch greatness, we know what it is. It doesn't matter what name is on the shirt.
Yeah.
We recognize what greatness is. And it is a honor to be around these kids, because not only, when I say kids, let's say they're in their 20s, some of them in their 30s, but a lot of them in their teens, and it is an honor to watch not only their ability, but their behavior and their admiration for those that came in front, and the fact that they can bowl and keep their emotions intact. And there's just so many things about them that is an upgrade from when we bowled.
Yeah. Somebody in the chat just said they would love to see a Norm Duke bowling ball by Storm. You've earned it.
I've earned it, huh?
Well, I mean, they do have the Belmo bowling ball, so, I mean, I can see.
Yeah. Well, I like the ones that smell good, okay?
Yeah.
So every ball that has a scent in it, that's mine. You can just call it the Duke.
What would be the scent of the Duke ball, then? What would be your favorite scent you'd want in that ball?
Well, I tell you what, I really like that blueberry.
Oh,
it seems to last longer, right?
Okay.
So they got blueberry mixed with some things now that I can't really, they even have a blind challenge. What is the scents that are in here? Yeah. I can't tell you what they are until after they name them, but that blueberry seems to be one that I always love. Here's the thing, when you're shooting a 310 and you're nervous and you know if you miss, you're probably going to be eliminated from the event, the least thing you can smell blueberry.
Yeah.
All right, so it kind of calms me. See?
Yeah, if you have questions for Norm, drop them in the chat. Now's your chance. I mean, it's we watch him on TV. We watched him in Phoenix. Looked like, as he said, it was a great time from there. But nobody really had a chance to really ask him questions. Now, here's your chance. You got him here. We'll have him on the 2 o'clock squad for a while as well this afternoon.
Yeah.
And at 1:30 Central, 2:30 Eastern time, we're going to have our opening ceremonies once again. And you get to throw the opening ball out this year, but a little different than last year. You had the spotlight on you this year. You get to throw the opening ball out with a player that's going to be selected from that 2 o'clock squad. Talk about a career highlight for somebody, a young player, or.
Well, if they throw a strike, Phil, I may not throw. I may not throw the first ball out. I may just say we're done here.
I remember last year you were jokingly saying over/under is 8 or 7.5.
7
and you got 8.
I
And
got it.
You got the over. So.
But I was betting the under. So did I win? Again, we have 43 feet of oil. That's the distance from the foul line to the head pin, let's say, is like 59 feet. So 43 feet down the lane is where the oil stops. That's where the people are going to try to get their ball to move to the pocket. Now, if we apply the rule of 31, now you're watching this and you're saying, I'm going to be bowling July something. Mm-hmm. All right, so you got 43 feet, the rule of 31. That means you want your ball or around 12, maybe second arrow or 12 board down lane at 43 feet. Now, that's not exact. Of course, it's not exact, but it's a pretty good benchmark, right? So just so you know, you're not going to be throwing it to the gutter and just wheeling it off the twig, but there's a lot of oil in the middle. You'll be able to create some hold, and there'll be some consistency out there because of the volume of oil. You don't have to move a board every shot like, you know, Phil, sometimes we're out on tour, we have to move every shot. No, it's not like that. There's a little bit of a puddle. And bring your striking shoes, because here's the deal. In this event, you got to finish in the top 3 in each division, okay? And that doesn't mean top 3 on your squad. That means top 3 for 2.5 months. And so bring your striking shoes.
I remember there were a couple of scores set last year in the opening 2 weekends, and those poor players had to sit for over a month.
Yeah, they did.
I wonder if they were going to be on. Hunter Kempton, one of them, was like, dude, am I gonna make, or Hunter Lawless, I'm sorry, handicap division champion for the men last year. I think it was opening weekend, Hunter bowled, and yeah, you got to sit through 6 more weekends to see if you won or not, and he was fortunate enough to hold on.
Yeah, and then you're coming out as an amateur, and to the left of you, you've got Liz Johnson, and then to the right you have Verity Crawley. They are so good that it'll be hard for you to bowl and not just watch them, because they're just awesome, those ladies. And Liz came in last year, and I think she had the highest set for a while.
Yeah, she came in during the last couple of weekends, and she finished with 279 to sneak by Verity Crawley to win the division. But yeah, just
Didn't
the last
she
game.
have the highest set for men, women, and all divisions for a little while? I thought that was the way it was. Maybe I'm wrong, but I'm telling you,
I'm not sure on that one.
Liz and I won the doubles one time, the mixed doubles, and I got to bowl with that talent for 4.5 days, and I'm telling you, she was stellar.
Yeah, there's a couple events I look forward to watching. I'm lucky enough to be there in person a couple times. One of those is the Striking Against Breast Cancer Mixed Doubles in Houston, that great event that is put on down there, where you get the best from the PBA Tour and PWBA Tour pairing up, and watch EJ Tackett bowl with 3 different partners in 3 years and win because of travel schedules and stuff like that. That was pretty incredible to have happen recently. But it'd be nice. That's one I'd love to see sneak on the Fox schedule. I really would for the finals on that, because it's just such a unique pairing of, the style of the men, the style of the women. And then this year we've taken up another level after the Strike Against Breast Cancer Mixed Doubles, the PBA, PBA 50, PWBA trios.
The trios, yeah, the first time for that, right?
In Jonesboro, yeah, and I love that center in Jonesboro. Well, you really love that center in Jonesboro, let's be honest.
I won that was one of my last events, wasn't it?
I think that was number 40 in Jonesboro.
Yeah, I left the trophy right there on, excuse me.
There we go.
I left the trophy above the counter, so if you do go and watch or you go and bowl, check out that trophy on the top there.
Yeah, I love some Jonesboro. Such a great center and hijinks and great host.
And hard.
Yeah, this is not an easy center.
Oh my gosh! I got there and people said, this was Wes Malott. He said, hey, "Well, you've entered a new dimension, Norm." And man, was it hard! So just so you know, I won the event. My first game was 155, and I'd won the event prior, so I was as sharp as I could be. 155, and I thought, oh my God! Well, little did I know that everybody was going to bowl 155. Not only, you're going to bowl that once a day.
Yeah.
Easy. So, heck, I thought I was way, way down. In fact, no. 155 is not that bad a bad game.
No. That's always been a tough center. It's actually been a little more advantageous for lefties. Matt Russo won his first title there the year before, or the year after, pardon me. And it's just, it's a tough center to be able to win there. I mean, you've won in some really tough, where it's tough to carry centers. I mean, Jonesboro was a center tough to carry, and then on a PBA 50 tour you won in Kokomo when we were there, and that's another one where the trophy was left behind. That time though with a great fan.
Yeah.
And that's a center that you ask the owner Dave Smalley. He goes, if I could burn this place down, he goes, I love the front ends. He goes, if I burn the back ends down and start over again, I would, because it's just tough to carry there. And that was another. What's the key on something like that, where you're finding a way to And it's not because of your rev rate, obviously, and your ball speed. It's you find a way to finesse those 10 down.
Well, not to mention that when you have hard centers, then you have more spares to shoot at. So the pros are the competitors with the better spare games are going to be left at the top. So if the lanes are tough, listen, embrace it. You mentioned Dave Small. He did. He said, I'd love to change this carry. I'd love to get higher scores. And I was looking at him going, you have the most amazing center here because it is so difficult that it is introducing a lot of us to an element of bowling we haven't seen in some time, which is a requirement on the spare game.
So stepping up on lane 6, we're going to have Garrett Byer. And Garrett, one of the bowlers in the new boys handicap division, he's on the front 5 right now. And, come on.
You just did that, didn't you? You just did that.
Come on. There's no such thing as a commentator jinx.
And I just met Garrett and his mom, and he came about, 10 pairs of lanes down just to say hello to me. So I told him I'm going to go and watch you throw a couple, and I did. He started with a double, and I thought, oh, my goodness, I'm going to make him nervous. So I left him. But here he is now, 5-bagger, and then he gets really, really a bad break with the 7-10.
Well, like I said, I was live streaming last week in Lockport, Illinois at a regional. Eugene McCune picked one of these up to make a cut.
Wow.
He knew he needed it. 9th frame of advancers round and left a ripper 7-10, and he knew he had to make it to double in the 10th and make the cut, and he picked it up. It was incredible. That's going to need a little help.
That was a nice shot there on lane 4. Trip 4.
Yeah, he's got one of those PBA junior jerseys on. How about that great program the PBA is running
You
now?
know what? The PBA is just advancing with regard to that. And you know what? It is about our future. And for them to commit to these juniors and make them PBA members at such an early age, you know what? They're going to love that to the point where there will be a PBA member for life. And they're just motivated by that. And I see it in their eyes, and I watch the competitions. Tom and I have been to a couple now. When I say Tom Clark is our commissioner. And because I'm so short, he takes me to some of those so that I can feel at home. But that PBA junior program is, like you said, it's one of the best programs that we've seen in a long time. And just like this tournament here, the PBA LBC National Championship is just second year. It's going to be around for a long, long time because of what it offers the sport of bowling. Not just the pros, but the sport of bowling.
Yeah. And, you mentioned just how these players are going to be members for life. Look at our first boys championship back a few years back. Eric Jones, who just won his first PBA title in Detroit on the Chameleon Championship. And Nate Purchase, the other finalist, who was PBA Midwest Regional Player of the Year in 2023, and he's in the hunt right now for Rookie of the Year in 2024 on the national tours. So it's amazing that how these bowlers are just getting the feel of what it's like to be in a PBA event. You're getting that same feel here. It's a little more of a relaxed feel because there's music going. If you want to have a beer while you bowl, you can have a beer while you bowl.
You can have a beer while you bowl
during
in this?
I
absolutely.
Didn't know that. It was funny because last year when they had the exempt squad, they had the same rules as the rest of the tournament. So Ronnie Russell, when he first came in, went and got himself a beer and set it down behind his pair of lanes, and here I go.
I know he loved that, by the way. I play a lot of golf with Ronnie Russell, and there's very few times that we don't have a beer while we're playing the golf.
Yeah, he's got a tournament coming up, a charity tournament up in Maine again that he won last year with Sean Rash on the bag.
$50,000 he won in that event. $50,000.
That's amazing.
I could not make a putt for $5, much less $50,000. But Ronnie Russell can play. So can EJ, by the way.
Yeah. I just can't picture Sean as somebody's caddy. Wow, another 7-10.
Oh, here we go with that big split.
Oh.
Yeah, that's when it's not going your way right there. When that's a spare if I've ever seen one.
When you overcut the 6 into the 7, ouch.
Now that's when you need the 4-pin there, but then you wouldn't have shot it that way.
Right.
So yeah, the bowling's weird.
Yeah. I'm sure after retiring you sleep a little bit better at night, not having visions of pinfall from earlier in the day run through your head.
I still have some dreams.
Okay.
And most of the dreams you never really get to throw a ball. you're on your way to the pair and something happens and you can't get there, and then you're mobbed, or your bowling balls start rolling over the floor and you can't find them, and it's a long drawn out bowling that nobody throws a ball.
Right.
Okay. Well, I still have those, and I just dreamed the other night that Wes Malott told me to take the bowling ball that I was using and toss it on the roof. Now that's what he said. He said, "Norm, toss it on the roof." And I'm thinking when I woke up, I don't remember the dream that well, but when I woke up, I thought, "Well, I'm not getting it to the roof."
Did he point? Hopefully, he didn't point to a skyscraper or something.
Yeah, we were outside when he was telling me you need to throw the ball. Well, heck, I thought we were bowling. So these dreams are weird, and they've been in my life for 50 years anyway. So the dreams have not left, but the competition has.
I did take a bowling ball off a rough and throw it into the Gulf of Mexico one time. So it didn't check ABC Nationals in Mobile, Alabama, and I left my equipment in my trunk. Well, of course it's June, so it's 90 and whatever hot.
Yeah.
And it was an ebonite straight shot, and I had all my resin balls were fine. That ebonite straight shot was like 64 on the hardness scale. Oh, you ain't going to use it. Well, here we go. And I just took it to the top of the parking structure outside the convention center and just launched it in the Gulf of Mexico. Makes a great splash from 60 feet up.
Well, we have something in common, because in that event, Mobile, when I finished, I took 3 double ball bags, which was the case back then. We didn't have the roller bags.
Right.
I took 3 double ball bags and I tossed them right off the edge there. And so I've got 6 balls in the Gulf of Mexico as well.
It's going to need a little help for Garrett. Well, I'll tell you what. He's proving that you can make the old foul line adjustment and score, because his last 2 shots were about 5 boards apart in the front part of the lane, but one ball got a little hold. He kind of backed off because he knew he was a little bit left. I always used my quote is 2 wrongs don't make a right, but 3 wrongs can make a strike.
There you go.
And that's about what it was, because he got left, but he also got fast and took something out of it. So you can see with Garrett that these lanes are very playable. You don't need to hit the same board with the same speed and everything. If you make small mistakes, you're still going to be able to get to the pocket.
Yeah, and stay with it. When you're bowling on a condition like this, it requires shot making, but if you do make shots, you're going to get some scoring. Stay with it all the way through, because you think because you're at the foul line you're a little bit off. Well, your history, right? Not really. If you stay with it, then you can start exposing the true margin of error that the condition's given you.
Got somebody asking in the chat if you had a chance to watch Jillian Martin bowl, who won the USBC Women's Queens a week or so ago, and your thoughts on Jillian's game.
Okay, so 2 years ago, I went into Boardwalk in Orlando, where they were bowling the SYC, and out of the corner of my eye, I see what I thought was the most perfect approach I've ever seen. Okay. And Blair Boomershine was right next to me, and I said to her, "Did you see that?" And she goes, "Oh yeah, Norm, that's Jillian." And I said, "That's the greatest approach I've ever seen in my life." Okay, fast forward about 20 minutes, and her father comes up and asks me to sign a photograph that Jillian and I had taken when she was 13 years old in a next level bowling event that I was running, which was a coaching event. And I said, "So I've met her." And they said, "Met her? You're the one who fixed her timing." I'm getting emotional now, because that was a day I'll never forget it. I said, "I had a hand in that?" And he said, "Yes, sir, you had a hand in that." Well, fast forward then another 6 months, and I'm bowling right next to Jillian Martin in the ABC Masters, and we're both just grinding it out, and we both made the cut.
Yeah.
We were just in there grinding, and I'm thinking, wow, this is a 13-year-old girl when I was 40-something that I'm now competing in the Masters with. And then fast forward again, 2 years later, she wins the Queens.
Yeah.
Yeah, she is an incredible talent. There are a lot out there. We mentioned Verity and then Danielle. Gosh, don't even get me started on Kelly Kulik.
Yeah.
There are so many great talents on that women's tour. And you know what? When they bowl the doubles and when they bowl the trios that's coming up for the first time, don't think that those pros don't know how good those women are. We get their autographs and everything. So I have Verity. I have her autograph.
I can't wait to get a picture with her again this year when that's one thing I haven't found out. I got to find out when some of these PWBA players are coming up, because those will be a couple of fun squads too to show up and get autographs and that type of thing with as well. So we're going to take a quick audio intermission here. Let Norm refresh his beverage. I'm going to refresh mine. You may as well do the same at home. We have 2 more games on this opening squad of the 2024 PBA LBC National Championships.
Bowling for the Duke.
All right, some new faces into our feature pair here on the main feed. Actually, feature pairs. We got 3, 4, and 5 and 6. And we'll get Norm Duke back in the booth momentarily. He's out talking to some of the fans. And if you're anywhere near Bolero Mound Prospect, either the rest of the day today or for the early part of our 11 a.m. squad tomorrow, you'll have the chance to come down. You can say hi to Norm yourself, get a picture taken, autograph. Great to have Norm here. We also have Jason Sterner will be here a little later today, and he'll be bowling the 11 a.m. squad tomorrow. So that'll be fun following Sterner. A little flash action on Sunday. All right. Rolling, rolling, rolling. Keep them bowling balls rolling. Hey, Tom Clark just got in the building, our PBA commissioner, one of the great minds behind this second edition of the LBC National Championships. And Tom, one thing he wants is the PBA experience for these players that walk through the door and, you know, talking. And he walked in, he started shaking hands with bowlers that recognized him and talked to him. Hey, how, you know, his first question was, "How you doing? You know, how you bowling? Oh, you're not bowling," you know, and just trying to get the feel for it. And that's the thing. First and foremost, we want people. Wow, there's a messenger. Brian Rack just sending wood. Watch out. You know, just get the PBA experience. Have it feel like you would if you were a card-holding PBA professional and you walked into the tournament. You know, you get your check-in at the office. You get your roll call. You're on the lanes. You get your national anthem. You get your 10 minutes of practice just like the pros, and off you go. So, looks like we got a couple more questions for Norm in the chat once we get him back in here shortly. We'll get him in here for another few minutes before the end of this squad, and we'll have a little bit of Tom Clark time and a little bit of Norm Duke time during our 3 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Central squad after our opening ceremonies. And we invite everyone to come back to the PBA YouTube page at 2:30 Eastern, 1:30 Central, as Tom Clark, Norm Duke, and other dignitaries will officially open this 2024 edition of the PBA LBC National Championships. I'm $2 Phil Brylow, bringing you through all 7 weekends on the live stream, where you're able to watch every ball, every frame, every pair, every squad of competition. There is no big black curtain here at the PBA LBC National Championships. You know what pattern you're bowling on before you show up at the door. You can watch every pair before you come and bowl, or if you're not bowling, watch every pair and follow players with similar styles you might have. Follow your friends that might be bowling. So yeah, every pair, you see all those links in the description below on the YouTube page that you're watching. And we have him back in the booth. And
wow, I had a great conversation right now.
I was walking by getting some equipment, and you were talking to an entire family. It was just like, you just see how emotionally involved and happy you were to have that conversation. You had a smile on your face, and yeah. It was great.
Yeah, this one gentleman over there, he's got 4 kids, or 4th on the way, and he's got his dad here. So kids got their grandpa and their grandma. It's awesome. Just part of it. And then I had a conversation with the commissioner of the PBA.
Yes. I
love Tom.
Blackthorn Grill up the road here. Very good. Have him take you there for dinner later on. That'd be my recommendation.
I got to figure out a way to get him to have dinner with me first. Then I'll choose.
I can't see that much arm twisting for Tom with a Hall of Famer like yourself. I'm sure he can find a little room in the expense account for you.
Well, there on line 6 is one of those examples of, you say, do I need a spare ball? So often, folks, I never used a spare ball, okay? I didn't. I used my straight ball, and I threw it a curve both directions. And so, therefore, I was so efficient at using my first ball. But that doesn't mean you don't need a spare ball.
Right.
That doesn't, I mean, I'm watching Walter Ray Williams, one of the greatest spare shooters ever. Him using a spare ball is not wrong. It's different than me. It's not wrong. Well, that was one of those cases there on lane 6 when gentleman shot the 6 pin. Looked like he was going to make it the whole way, and it just at the very end hooked past it on the left. So, look, sometimes you just have to invest in the equipment that'll get you there. And spares are so important.
What is older, Walter Ray's spare ball or Walter Ray? Because he's got that black diamond. It's got to be pretty close.
It's older than he is. I think he's got the black diamond that Don Carter used to use. I don't know.
And then the PBA Midwest Regional Manager, Toby Contreras, he's got an old AMF, I think it's called the strike line, where they had the full roller orange line in the middle of the ball.
Around it, yep.
And that's what Toby Contreras used for his spares. And I saw him use it at the Peterson Classic last year.
And he still can't spare with it.
Oh, yeah.
I love Toby. Toby and I go all the way back to when I was 18 years old. That's when we met.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, when we met, and we hung around together on our his first year was my first year. We both won our first tournament in the same year, so we got to go to the Tournament of Champions together and things like that. So he and I go way, way, way back. So I can say whatever I want. I also built the Peterson with him for about 10 years.
Okay.
And what a gentleman. What a gentleman.
He almost took the lead last year. He held on in top 10 for the whole tournament at the Peterson. Toby did. It was fun.
No
to
way.
watch. Yeah, I got to watch. The squad got done on the LBC on a Sunday, and I ran over to watch him finish his squad. And he needed 20 in the 10th to take the lead, and he got the spare. And he was clean. He had like 194 clean. And he needed 196 or something. He needed a strike in the last shot. And right when he got to the foul line, he was so expecting something to happen, and nothing happened. And like 5 feet after the ball got out of his hand, they shut the light off on the lane. They totally blew screwing with him. But Toby was, he goes, I thought something was going to happen. I was ready for it. And then when nothing happened, I panicked. Because that's the Peterson for you. And I got to go out to dinner with Toby last Saturday. He was running the regional in Lockport I was covering. And yeah, you talk about just a guy that is just the heart and soul for bowling is Toby. I mean, now he's running the PBA 50 tour that John Weber's retired, and the old guys are kicking Toby's butt.
Yeah, and hey, how about when Toby was, a rookie, and he got up in the 10th frame and needed 3 strikes to win his first title, and you hear him whisper, just one ball. Just one ball. Yeah. And three times he whispered just one ball. Struck every one of them and won the tournament. And boy, I tell you what, that had to be, that was a moment in bowling.
Right. But yeah, Toby, he just, last weekend he was pumped up for we had such great names in the stepladder with A.J. Johnson and Trey Heinrichsmeyer. He was just happy to have that stepladder and be part of it, running it and the whole thing. And you see his enthusiasm. It doesn't matter what he's doing. If he's running a local tournament in the Kansas City area, or if he's doing the PBA 50 tour, he just loves getting bowling out there in front of people. So.
Yeah. Phil, I can't hear. There we are.
There we go.
Got it high enough. Yeah, Phil had to go for a second. I have a list here in front of me of all of the pros so far that have entered. And if you want to know, well, then you can just send us a little message and say, well, so when is Francois Lavoie bowling, Norm? Well, that would be Saturday, July the 6th at 9 a.m. So if you're on the Saturday, July 6th, 9 a.m., look for Francois Lavoie. Awesome stuff here. I'm reading it as Chris Barnes, June 29th, 2 p.m. E.J. Tackett, Saturday, July 6th, 9 a.m. Kyle Troop, the 29th, June, 9 a.m. They'll all be here.
And you mentioned just earlier about how the young ones are coming up. You mentioned Chris Barnes. I saw the other day who just applied for the PBA.
Yeah,
Ryan Barnes.
I've been saying to Ryan for 2 years, I got my eye on you for those Dallas Strikers now. And Chris is like, well, what about me? What about you? Chris Barnes was on the Dallas Strikers last year. And so this year he was in a different team. But, yeah, we enjoyed having him. I tell you what an athlete he is.
It's going to be interesting this year because you have to be real patient. I mean, obviously it's going to be well after the PBA Elite League season's done in Portland in September before you have to worry about drafting players and such, because there's going to be 12 names added to the eligible players in the roster with the PBA Tour Trials. They've brought the Tour Trials back. It's going to be here. This is one of the centers of the 4 they're going to be holding it at in August. And there could be some interesting players such as a Ryan Barnes, such as a Cameron Crowe, that, boy, you get a young gun like that and a chance to have them on your team. And I would assume that, unfortunately, the striker season wasn't a solid season. You guys, everybody had your number.
I'm on the I think we're second.
You're going to be second on the draft pick.
Woo! I tell you what, there's nothing more exciting to know that you can draft somebody that can be on your team for 15 years, 20, 25 years.
Right.
I mean, I've had Tommy Jones and Bill O'Neill as a Dallas striker now probably 8 or 9 years.
Yeah.
Maybe more.
At least.
And I'm going to save them again, of course. Last year we had a caveat where we could only save 2. And I wanted Matt Ogle back so very bad. And I couldn't get him. I couldn't draft for him.
Right.
I couldn't. Well, this year, by golly, I get the draft choice. So.
Well, yeah, now you look at that Las Vegas High Rollers roster, I mean, where Ogle's been a huge contributor all year for him. They're the number 1 seeds going into Portland.
Yeah, I know all of
and
that.
I mean, is Ogle going to be let go by Leto?
No. Well, I'll tell you what, Leto's got to find some there that he should have,
Andrew Anderson and A.J. Johnson and Rash and Ogle. Yeah, my goodness. I mean, who do you hold on to? Who do you let go?
Well, that's the tough part.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about it. It's the tough part. I've got that same problem this year. We will get to hold back 3, as I understand it. Now, that is subject to change, which oftentimes it does.
Right.
But that's what I'm planning on right now, is to save 3 of my strikers. And, the hardest part, Phil, is you got to let go of people. You got to let go of people that like this year, Jake Peters. Right. I told him, I want you in the lead for the whole time. Learn to lead off like Bill O'Neill did for us. It was Bill O'Neill for me for 6 years in a row, and this is somebody I could have put in the 5th spot at any time.
Yeah.
But that first spot for me, that lead-off man, was so important. I had our current U.S. Open champion leading off for me.
Right.
Well, I told Chris Peters, I said, now that I'm gone, I need Bill in the back end, and I need somebody that can take his spot. Well, I may not even get to save him this year, you know. And goodness, there's some young, just tremendous talent that you have to let go of and watch them go to another team and rail you. So that's the beauty about team and our league.
I mean, for the first season of having a full season of competition, not just showing up at Bayside and late in the year and getting through that bracket, having those 14 matches was so much fun to see and watch. And I was lucky enough to be there for a lot of them with doing the PBA Elite League Chronicles that people can keep seeing on YouTube. And if you missed any of the action, it's a great summation of how many times that Las Vegas had a tight match and Andrew Anderson showed up and closed the door to keep
and
it
Andrew was on a Dallas Strikers team about 5 years ago. In fact, Tommy Jones missed for us to get eliminated, and the first thing is Andrew looked at me and said, why wasn't I throwing that ball?
Yeah.
And you know what? That's what I want. I want somebody that says, give me that rock.
Yeah.
Why didn't you give that rock to me?
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, I got Tommy Jones throwing a shot for the Dallas Strikers. We're in good shape here. And then I get to watch him now go and solidify that team. Oh, my goodness. I'd like to have him back.
But, I mean, you had wrong teams at the wrong time this year. 220.4 was the average against the Dallas Strikers.
Yeah, more than
5 pins more than the LAX had against them, and at least 10 pins more than any
of the others. Yeah.
How do you inspire such
well, that's what you're doing.
Opponents, to just
that's what you're doing.
Show
up, when you put a Bill O'Neill and a Tommy Jones down there, they know. These guys are major champions, and they are really good in the clutch. They're solid. They don't waste any time, telling stories and talking. They just get down there and do their business, and then that inspires others to say, look, we have to be on our game here. And we're proud of the fact that they feel that they need better than normal.
Right.
We're proud of that. We're also not so proud of the fact that they ran us over. But hey, at least this year I get a good draft choice.
Yeah. And, you know, and one of the best parts was having some of those weeks matches featured 4 times on FS1.
Yes.
Just Elite League action. Here you go. Here's, round 11 competition, round 7 competition. And the ratings for those shows were phenomenal.
They're phenomenal. They are.
Absolutely
but
great.
But if you look at all of the talent that you have bowling each of the telecasts, I mean, why wouldn't the ratings be good, you know?
Yeah. It's so fun to watch. Sure, sometimes with 8 teams going at once, if you were in the center, it was a little tough, but you know, you had to pick your favorites. You know, you could see it when we were in Detroit. Motown Muscle fans came out in force with Motown Muscle. When we were in Akron, they were cheering on the Atom Splitters.
Well, the managers were not capable of being present at all of the matches.
Yeah.
So oftentimes I was online just like you are, and I'm watching the action. Oh, my goodness, that was off the ankle, I think, there.
Yeah.
He threw a gutter earlier in the day. Something is wrong. He's just not settled right now.
Yeah.
But look, sometimes when you get a little rattled, that's the hardest time to throw bowling balls. But to continue, I get to watch it just as you do, and I swap over. I know that we're 1 game behind LAX, so I go over there and watch LAX, and then I come back over here and watch the Strikers, and come over there and see if Andrew Anderson and his LAX are still on top, and all the things that you get to watch, I get to do the same exact thing.
So, and yeah, I mean, you'd see the assigned team captains that night looking at their phones, getting the messages from the managers going. Amleto, I know, did that often with Andrew Anderson and for Las Vegas, and I know the Ballards did that for the Knights as well.
And maybe that was my biggest problem, Phil. We finished next to last.
Yeah.
And my message to my team early is, look, I'm not going to be here every week, not even half of them. So I assigned the managerial duties basically to Bill and Tommy. And I said, look, y'all have as much experience as me. You know more than I do because you're out here every week. You know who's throwing it good, who's not. Y'all, you know the conditions more. And I said, I want y'all to manage. I'll make the decisions, as far as announcing them. But you guys are going to make the call.
Yeah.
Well, it didn't go so well for us. So now I have to look at that and say, well, did they do a good job? Well, yes, they did a great job. It's just the other teams really played great against us. But that's something that I had to make a call on, and I chose to do it that way. Amleto, Tim Mack, other of the managers, Jason Couch, they were all on the phone managing the team, where I was on the internet watching my team manage themselves.
Yeah.
Didn't go so well for me. Maybe I need to look at that again. But listen, that was the first year we'd had that.
Right.
And as a manager, you have to make a decision of what to do. And I thought, look, I'm not going to come in here half the time and disrupt what continuity they're building or what. I don't want to disrupt things. So I made what I thought was the call of the day. Yeah, we're next to last. So there you go.
I think 14 matches for the preliminaries, the regular season, let's call it, before you get to base set. I think that's a pretty good schedule. I don't think you can. I don't think you just want to go once through the schedule against every other team, and I don't know if you'd be able to have the logistics to do it 3 times, but I think you get the fairness bowling every team twice throughout that schedule.
That's true, and listen, you have plenty of time to make it back if you're in the cellar. We were in the cellar the whole year. We had plenty of time to make it back. We just didn't, and so therefore I look at us and I say, how can we get better? How can the format benefit us, but how can we get better?
It's just amazing. Look, and sometimes it's just a matter of getting the double in the right place in Baker to win or lose a match. I mean, your strike percentage as a team was 55%. It's right there with Akron. It's right there with LAX. LAX was 57%. Your fill percentage was 88.5% as a team, higher than Akron, almost as high as LAX, higher than Las Vegas.
Yes,
our leaders. But it's just a matter of.
You're not bringing all this up again, are you, Phil?
I'm just. It's just amazing how just one little double in the right place can change a match, and then being on the run. I mean, your team could have easily been 9-5.
Oh, very easy.
Much as what, yeah.
And one of the things, and I told my team this. I said, look, throughout this whole season, you're going to get matches gifted to you, just because there's that many matches.
Right.
well, you're also going to gift a few matches to people. So live with it and enjoy it when they gift you. Well, they didn't gift us a match. Not even one did we see a gift. All of the ones that we did win, they were close and we earned them late. You know, you can call it luck of the draw. You can call it people are motivated a little more. Whatever it is, our objective is to get better. That's it. Get better.
Looking at some of the questions on here. Yeah, a couple players just asking about struggling on spares, and as you said before, get that spare ball. Point A to point B. That's the one thing that a spare ball, polyester ball can really do, is it takes the lane pattern mostly out of play.
Mostly, yes.
Because it doesn't respond to friction when it does get to the dry.
And you know what? If you want to employ my train of thought, I look at a 610 and I say, look, if I can cut a ball in there from the middle part of the lane, moving to the right, and I can eliminate chop. Period. If I can shoot a 4.7 and do the same thing but move it right to left just a little bit, I can eliminate chop. Well, it's harder to do that with a spare ball because you can't get it to move. You know, spare balls are designed to go straighter. Yeah. So you really can't take advantage of the chop elimination, which is something that I thought was the number one thing. I said, everybody out here on the tour is going to hit that front pin. Now, how many times are going to chop it in a year? Well, I did the math. I had 40 years out on tour. I knew what the math was. So I knew that I was gaining 450 pins a year on the field by cutting a ball at the 610 and the 4.7.
Yeah.
Because I'm eliminating chop. Well, that's how many chops I would have. And I go, if you can eliminate it,
right,
you're one of the best out here. You're actually gaining more than 450 pins a year on the field if you can eliminate chop. So don't just think a spare ball is the only way to go. No, and no.
Yeah.
But if you aren't going to try to learn how to cut balls both directions, if you're not going to learn to manipulate your first ball, then go buy the spare ball, throw it a little bit harder, let go of it so it just scoots down the lane, and let's move on.
How about in watching more and more nowadays of the Belmo and Troop and Simonson, especially Simonson, where they're going to the reverse hook, back up, whatever you want to call it, but they're going, like here, we got 3-6-10. Here's a prime example, lane 21. How's he going to shoot at it? If he tries to hook it a little bit, he might hit that 3-2 firm, and he might chop the 6-10. You know, he's
going to go right at it.
And
what did we do? We
still the problem.
Yeah.
And so it's just one of those things where you just watch how the bowlers never stop learning.
Right.
And you watch how Simonson now goes from just back. And I had a front row seat. I called it when he won in Delaware with the backup ball when the lanes got unplayable on the right side.
Well, I was on a flight with Belmo, and he said, "Mate, tell me what your perfect bowler is." And I said, well, my perfect bowler is give me Osku's ability to throw it 100 mile an hour and bring pins out for a 710.
Yeah.
I want my ability to cut balls at spares and stuff. And I want a two-handed bowler that can go both ways. And he said, what do you mean, go both ways? And I said, well, there's a kid, he's about 6'2" in Claremont, Florida, that actually throws it better with a backup two-hand than he does his real two-hand. And I said, there's going to be a two-hander come out and win both ways with a backup ball. And darned if Simo did it. And then Belmo texted me, said, mate, you called this.
Yeah.
Now it's my turn.
Yeah.
And so now Belmo is practicing throwing backup balls to use on his first shot. Now listen, this is what bowling is coming to, is how many advantages can you stack in your favor? Yeah. And that is my perfect bowler, one that stacks all the advantages, right?
Yep.
And listen, folks, for y'all looking at my stature, I'm 5'5" and 135. I'm not going to do things that overpower people. I'm not going to do things that are an obvious advantage. So what I have to do is stack advantages. I have to figure out how to play all the lane conditions and how to make all the spares and how to just bowl, how to bowl better.
Yeah.
Right? Now you can look at Belmo and say, well, look at his power advantage, and EJ is that. You can look at Walter Ray and say, wow, look at his ability to go straight, his spare game, and this and that. You know, mine, I really didn't have anything. So I had to create it all.
Yeah.
So that is what I would like to instill in all of you, is think about bowling as disadvantages and advantages, stack those advantages in your favor, and you can take this game as far as you want.
And here's another question too, with somebody in the chat asking, bowling ball weight making a difference on the lane and would carry. There's some players on tour nowadays. Nate Stubler comes to mind because we followed him on one of our PBA open mics during a PTQ, where he was changing from 15 to 16 pound bowling balls to help with his carry. And he talked about it when he made the Players Championship show early on in the year too. Was that a tool you ever used in your bag? I mean, I know a lot of years you threw 16. I mean, you kept throwing 16 as long as you could. Did you finish your career at 16?
Yeah,
okay,
I did. I only tried 15 for about 3 months.
Okay.
And I hated it. Just hated it. I would get a little bit excited. Here's the deal, Phil. I'd get a little bit excited out of overthrow the hook. And that was the whole thing. Okay. I'd go from 4-bagger, get a little nervous, and I'd miss the head pin to the right. Just by overthrowing it. So I went back to 16. Now, 16, I learned, if I could throw a Volkswagen bus down there, I'd do that. If I'm going to get paddled at school, I want the smallest paddle you got against me, right? I don't want that big paddle. Well, I want to throw the big paddle when I'm playing. And so I use 16-pound balls. I also threw so much of my game was built on heat and throwing hard from out, and really generating some ball speed. Well, 16 pounds when it's not hooking very much will still blow pins apart. Okay. I could throw 15 pounds and I'd leave wiggler 7s and I'd leave a little. So there were reasons why that I didn't employ both. Now, I wouldn't do 16 all the time, 15 all the time if I were to entertain it. Yeah. I would do, like you just mentioned, and juggle weights.
Okay.
Back in the day, I remember George Pappas used to change his pitches week to week so that he could promote an underneath roll or a flip or a twirl or something. Okay. And he would change his pitches to accommodate his abilities that way. Well, I just thought that was, I said, that's no way am I going to change my fingers are going to bleed.
Yeah.
Well, he wasn't a power player at all, so his hand never hurt, and he did that. So look, that was George Pappas's way of creating an advantage, and if you want to look, that man's in the Hall of Fame right now, and one of my idols growing up, so there.
Yeah, great proprietor still in North Carolina. Got to do an event with Chuck Gardner for his Bowl for Life Foundation a few years back at Liberty Lanes in Gastonia, and George, I mean, the stories that man, just a couple of stories, but the stories that man can tell is just amazing. So it was good being down there for him. Let's see what else we got here. Oh, here's a good question. You mentioned hand position, practicing hand positions. Did you do that? Was that just like on the lane practice when you were younger, learning all those different hand positions, or how did you get to be so versatile? I mean, we couldn't have just been on-lane practice all the time. There had to be other things. Did you do other things like at home? Or?
What I did is I lucked out on my first title, and I wasn't doing that great, but I saw that Tom Baker had the advantage with a little twirl.
Yeah.
And I was just, middle of the pack, and I thought, man, that is an advantage you cannot overlook. So I just loaded up a lot more, and then went all the way around it for a little twirl. Ended up winning the tournament. And that then was a learning for me that I said, well, if you can do it on the fly, right, like that, and win a tournament, well, then don't ever forget that. So oftentimes I would see a Roth that would create an advantage, or a Bob Hanley over here, or even, the guys that went straight. When you're looking at Roger Bowker and Butch Soper and my God. So I would then, if I was out of an event, that was my chance to say, who's got the advantage? Let's see if I can enjoy an advantage, even though it may not get me to the cut. Okay. Let's see if I can create it, expose it, and enjoy it. Yeah. And then when I found out, wow, I'm 200 over since I'm doing this. I was 200 under starting. That's when I'd say, all right, well, take this mechanism now home, and let's start working on it. Let's start perfecting it. Let's find out what are the little idiosyncrasies that you can do to manage just this release. Throwing a backup ball at a spare was one of those things that I had to learn how to do. So if you look at my very first title, when I shot my spares, I was kind of a 10-4, and I would just let go, or I'd throw it a lot harder and let go. Well, if you look at my last titles, I'm cutting balls, throwing just slight movement from the ball at spares both directions. So therefore, that's a learning process that we go through. And if you're out of an event, that is your greatest chance to, for free,
Yep.
try anything you want. And so many people go, I can't wait to get out of here. They're packing, they're taking balls out to their trunk in between games. They can't wait to get out. I couldn't wait to stay. I didn't like it. I was embarrassed. And then oftentimes people go, well, Norm's just giving up. Look, he's doing some kind of stuff over there. I wasn't giving up. I was saying, is this something that I can employ later in my career?
Yeah.
Should I last long enough? That was one of the things. I always thought I was two games away from having to leave because I had no money.
Yeah. But, you mentioned Mark of a champion. Justin Knowles, he's at World Series of Bowling, makes a couple of shows, doesn't get a title, but has a great week there. But then he had to bowl the PTQ for the Tournament of Champions. And I followed him. We open mic'd him, and he had a terrible day, terrible start, terrible day. But under the same thing like you said, never gave up. Here's my chance to learn. And he got to his last pair, and Eric Jones had started on that pair, who just won a title in Detroit. Eric Jones goes, just so you know, he goes, I painted a masterpiece for you. So my new nickname for Eric Jones is Picasso. And Knowles kind of shakes his head, and Jones goes, here, try this. And sure enough, Knowles tries a little different hand position, gets it down late, starts with the front five. He goes, I'm asking every tournament to get behind Eric Jones. I'm following him. But it's the same thing. You might be out of the event. He finished second to last in that PTQ after being on TV. But he learned something off of that, and he talked about it.
In the very last game.
He learned something the last two games, yeah.
Yeah, probably one of the best lessons he'll ever learn was gifted to him because he did not check out.
Right.
And, when you follow God, which I do, I tell you what, I have been sent so many gifts from the Lord just because I didn't check out.
Yeah.
And that was like my reward.
Right.
Hey, Norm, because you stayed in it, here, let me just send you a little gift.
Yeah. All of a sudden, you might see something similar at a tournament 2 years later, and you go back and go like, hey, hold on. And then you make the adjustment a lot earlier in the tournament. Instead of going home, you're in match play or you're on a TV show and doing all that.
And then you grasp some of these things that last your whole bowling career.
Yeah.
My whole bowling career enjoyed my ability to play straight from out. I mean, I never gave that advantage up. So, things like that, just don't check out.
Hey, I said somebody in the chat just go, didn't have a Butch Soper reference on my bowling bingo card today.
Well, I tell you what, we had some of the greatest straight players that have ever walked. I mean, look at Mike Durbin, Ernie Schlegel. How about Kent Wagner? My goodness.
Oh.
And I mentioned Balker.
Yeah. Yeah, oh God, Kent Wagner. I still that video every time it comes up, like once a year, when he was trying to shoot a 710 at the USBC Open Championships, and it stuck in his thumb and went straight up in the air. That's scary. I'm sure you had to have that happen on occasion, where one stuck on you and you kind of looped it on the lane, or no?
Not very many, because my thumb hole was so huge. Yeah. It was my biggest thing was you got to get out of the thumb hole. So no, I didn't. I never jammed mine in like a Chris Barnes will jam his in and lock himself into it. I never did that.
Well, it looks like we got a hot hand on the high end here. So
let's go to our hot hand.
Yeah, wait for Mr. Yang to try to pick up that single pin. He does, and stepping up. Looking on lane 32, we've got Ken Allen. He's bowling in our senior division, double spare and a four-bagger. He'll be stepping up on lane 32 once John there is complete with his single pin. And I'll tell you what, Ari Machuca, the young lady that just bowled on 31, she's going to Ohio State next year to bowl.
Congratulations.
And she had a nice chat with you and Tom Clark last year, apparently, before bowling the first squad. And she's really been working on her game a lot. And back here for the first squad this year, she'll probably bowl every opening squad the rest of her career. As much fun as she has coming to the LBC National Championships, and is inspired as you and Tom a little inspiration gave her last year.
She's a gem.
Yeah. But once again, you mentioned it's not always about how many boards you cover. It's about how well you cover
Yeah, you know what?
have to.
Yesterday I was in a little golf tournament, and 2 or 3 times I hear, well, it's not how.
Yeah.
And it really isn't. It's not about how. People that watch EJ Tackett right now, they'll say, wow, why is he that deep? Why is he cranking on it so much? Why? Well, let's look at the doggone leaderboard.
Right.
That's why, because he's in the top 5 every week. Oh, here's another gutter ball. I can't read the names up there, and I can't even read the shirts because I don't see very good.
Yeah.
But I think it's Eric. Can't see it. He's struggling lane 6, that's for sure. And one of the things when you're bowling in house condition, it's awfully hard to throw in the gutter because you got 10 boards of no oil. And if there is oil, there's not very much of it. Well, when you come here, even though the lanes are playable and scoreable, if you elbow that thing to the right, it'll go in. It will go right in the gutter. So don't just think you're going to throw it to the gutter, like I said earlier. You're not just going to peel it off a 1-2. You're going to be, when you get here, mainly trying to manage the hold down lane. That's what you're going to do to strike. You need friction, you need movement in the middle part of the lane, you need recovery down lane a little bit, but mostly you're playing hold. What ball can I get to hold and still hit the pins hard? That's where I would be. It's 43 feet down the lane is how much they're oiled, 5-to-1 ratio, but predominantly, they're not overly slick because there's some friction out there.
Yeah, and it's a kind of high friction surface here.
Yeah, so you're not going to need to take your bowling ball and double up on the sanding. You're not going to take 350 grit even on a non-reactive ball. Yeah, bring your mid balls, okay? Bring maybe an asymmetrical or 2, bring a symmetrical or 2, and bring a spare ball, and then come in here and let your ball be your guide. You're going to have plenty of room if you're in the right, family of balls. You're not looking for the absolute cheater ball, let's say. What you're looking for, something that will give you a really good read in 1 or 2 shots so that you can make the adjustment pair to pair and get on strikes early and keep them. So don't think you have to reinvent the wheel here.
You mentioned one of the great players that could throw it straight of all time, and I'm doing this for 2 reasons, because he just was inducted in the Hall of Fame this year with Steve Jaros. I'm going to bring it up on the screen in front of you here in a second, Arm. And I want you to tell me if you've ever seen this happen before when I bring it up on screen here, okay? Here comes Mr. Jaros. This is last week at a regional I covered in Lockport. So he's bowling. He's on the left lane there. He's getting ready to step up. Now, we all know how great Steve can throw it straight. He's throwing it really straight there. Pin action. And it stands back up, but it gets better. It's outside the rack, so it gets picked up, gets stuck between the guard and the main part of the rack, and then it sets a full rack behind it. So now Jaros has to shoot at 11 pins on the spare. Is that the rule?
I'll be darned.
And there you see it's still wiggling there.
Yeah, so what he's going to do there is they're going to take all those pins down. They're going to put one in a 7-pin spot because that's the one.
No, they actually left the pin that fell.
Oh, did they? And
they
just squandered the other 10?
They got rid of the 10 that were there.
Okay, well, that is the way you're supposed to do it, but so often if that pin falls, they set it right back on spot. No, so the answer to your question, I haven't seen it like that. Now, I did one time miss a cut in Las Vegas when I was 19, and I needed a big game, and I was in the 10th frame bowling 300. Yep. But I needed the first one. 279 would not get me to the cut.
Okay.
And I went 10 in the pit. Everything's fine.
Yeah.
But then a pin falls from the upper part of the Brunswick machine. Yeah. Falls and stands straight. Just falls and stands straight up. So it wasn't even one of my pins. It was a pin that was being loaded.
Oh, no.
It falls and stood right there. Well, I'm 19. I said, no, everybody saw it. Everybody. No. They set that pin up in the 6-pin spot. And they said that was the closest dot.
Really?
And they set it up, and I missed the cut. And missing the cut was missing cash. I didn't miss the cut. I missed the cash. Cost me $1,000, and all of my pins went to the back. They're in the pit area, and then another pin came down and stood up in between the rake and the regular pins, and I had to shoot it.
Oh, jeez.
And I was looking around like, no.
Right.
Everybody's kidding, right? Everybody's kidding. No, Goose, Harry Golden, our tournament official, then said, nope, you must shoot it.
That's a tough one. Yikes.
That was the closest thing to what we just watched.
I was kind of hoping for some excitement the last game, Norm. Last year, Game 6, we had Matt Gasson on our opening squad shoot 300 while you were on the call.
Yeah.
And I know it was one of – I mean, Matt lives around me in the Milwaukee area now, and he's still working a little bit for Storm, but wants to stay at home with family a little bit more, so he's opening his own pro shop in Waukesha, Wisconsin, and just getting that Norm for shooting 300 while having you on the call. One of the highlights of his career. So every time I remind him of that every time I see him.
Well,
so.
6 days from now, I will be doing a 2-day event with Matt Gason and with Hank Boomershine.
Oh, okay.
It's a Storm event in Des Moines, Iowa.
Okay.
At least that's where I fly into.
Yeah.
It may be a smaller town outside of that, but Matt and we play golf. This guy's got a cross-handed grip golf and hits
I've heard that.
and hits it 300 yards. I mean, this is incredible athlete we're talking about. But I enjoy him so much, and I remember he is the first recipient of any sort of Duke bronze.
Yes.
Because he was awarded that 300 mini. It's called the Mini Duke, and it's a mini version of the real trophy to all of the players who shoot a perfect game in this event. We've given out 2 so far. One is a little while from now.
Yep.
We'll be giving it to Anthony. I don't remember his last name.
Yeah, I need to look at my notes on that. But
right.
And I know Tom Clark's delivered a couple in person as
Yes.
well. We had one player last year, Chad Moss, bowl 2 300 games in
I
his
didn't know that.
6-game block. Yeah, Game 3 and Game 6. I think his 2 games, his Game 3 and Game 6 equaled his games 2, 4, and 5 at one point in time.
I see.
I mean, he bowled very well otherwise. But yeah, he had 2 300s and he received bookend Dukes.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yes.
In fact, I thought there were only 2 given out so far, but no, you're saying there's many
Yeah,
more.
Tom's made a couple of visits, and he's given them out in person. For bowlers that were local to the Milwaukee or Chicago
That's right.
areas, he's made the trip. So, but yeah, Chad Moss, 2 300. You only played to shoot 2 300s last year. And, oh, no, not the way you want to end your LBC.
Oh, did he hit his ankle?
No, I think he just overthought it a little bit and just kind of forced it right.
Well, he had a great attitude about it.
Yeah. So, well, we're almost done with this squad. Norm, thanks for sitting in. We're going to tell everybody to come back, watch you and Tom Clark and some other dignitaries. 2:30 p.m. Eastern, 1:30 p.m. here at Bolero Mount Prospect. We will have our opening ceremonies officially opening up the 2024 LBC National Championships. And then we'll get you back in the booth a little bit on the 2 o'clock squad.
Yeah, that'd be great. And for you, those of you watching, you have in front of you the ability to see any of the pairs all throughout this house. So if you have a loved one, if you have somebody that you're interested in, or if you want to watch one of these superstars that come in for the day, you just find the feed that has them on. You can click on that feed and you can watch until your heart's desire.
Yeah. You know, whether you're coming here or not in the next 6 weekends, and you're just getting a little preview of what the lane conditions are looking like, helping you decide. Like Norm said, he gave you some great ideas on what bowling balls to bring a little earlier. If not, if you missed it, rewind it. As soon as we're done, go back in the beginning of Game 6. He'll give you those equipment suggestions, and we'll have him answer more questions for you on the 2 o'clock squad. So, Norm, always appreciate you, sir.
Thank you for having
always
me.
appreciate
and
it.
I will see you later.
Yep, we'll see you later on. And
Hey, there's Ari.
And there, yeah, we were just talking about her, yeah. So, and we'll be back at 3 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. here in Mount Prospect.
did. I bowled 219, 201, 188, 183. I stayed around all those numbers. Yeah, collegiate, Ohio State. The Ohio State University.
I know there's different tiers and all your like the Nose has it's actually a
Maybe. I think they did.
so yeah, we might see you in Nose. Usually it's 31 event.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, that's the center that I coach.